Okay, so now we're moving on to the second presenter, who is Dr. Monica Rodriguez. Dr. Rodriguez is an associate professor at the Department of Psychology at the State University at Albany in the United States. Her research interests are on self-regulatory processes in children and adolescents, on the role of early mother and child interaction in the development of self-regulation, and the cognitive, behavioral, and social-emotional factors involved in self-control processes. Currently, in collaboration with the Office for Children and Family Services of New York State and the Human Services Research Center at the University at Albany, she is examining the long-term impact of Healthy Families New York, an intervention for the prevention of child abuse and neglect, in promoting parenting competencies and children's social and academic adjustment in families at risk. Thank you very much. We welcome Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you for that introduction. And I would like to first thank the organizers for this invitation. I realize that, like your soccer, your hospitality is au meilleur du monde. So I would like to present today some of the effects that we have found. This is a first look on a longitudinal randomized control trial that is evaluating Healthy Families New York. This is a randomized control trial that uses multi-method approach, and what I will present is basically the part that I came in to assess, which is the observational component that they in a very risky way, decided to incorporate in their assessment at 2 times in life of the child, at the year 3 of the child and year 7 of the child. So I'll be mentioning year 3, year 7, and that means the child is 3 years old or 7 years of age. Now, why would they decide to do observational assessments? Well, one of the reasons is that parenting is examined where it takes place. This is mother-child interaction at home in situations that challenge the parent in different ways. What does micro-level analysis gives us is an opportunity to observe behaviors avoiding possible biases. And most interesting, I think that in the same way that observational assessments can help our science to grow in terms of what parenting kinds are necessary, we can also inform practice then by finding out what are the strengths of a program. Healthy Families New York is a very intensive home visiting program that is based on Healthy Families America. You've heard about it throughout. It targets pregnant women and parents of newborns that are at risk for child maltreatment. They use the Kempe measure for this, and it's delivered by paraprofessionals. The home visits occur bi-weekly, and weekly during the first 6 months of the child's life. And after 6 months, it diminishes until the child enters kindergarten or Head Start. The target population is a diverse population, so I would like to emphasize that. It's not just young first-time mothers. It is also mothers that have been older, have more children. They live in neighborhoods with high rates of teen pregnancy, poor birth outcomes, poverty. The socioeconomic factors or demographic risk factors are associated with child abuse and neglect, and they score very high on the Kempe Family Stress Checklist. The partnership, as most partnerships are, involve many offices. The 3 most important ones are a university-based office, the New York State Office for Children and Families, and then Healthy Families New York. And this occurs then, is incorporated in 3 different sites. The randomized control trial included or screened parents And the families that were eligible for these sites were around 1,200 parents, and who were randomly assigned either to a control group, and this control group received just information and referral to other services, or to the treatment group, which is access or to the Healthy Families New York. And as you can see, roughly they were the same number of participants. At the entry, which is around the time the parents, the mothers were pregnant or early in the child's right after birth, the median age of the parents was 22, but a third of them were under 19. The ethnic breakdown was 45% African American, 18% Hispanic, and 66% were pregnant when they were randomly assigned. 55% were first-time mothers, and this is a high-risk population for child abuse. 9% already had previous CPS records. In that sense, this is also an unstable population. Over half moved the past year, and it has mobility is a big issue. As you see, the population is quite diverse, which presents challenges for the program, but also presents the opportunity to observe a variety of forms of parenting. The goals of the program are very targeted to promoting parenting competencies, and Lori just talked about those. It has to do with attending to the child needs and cues, providing stimulation, offering guidance and support, and promoting autonomy and self-control. So these were their target behaviors, and in the observational assessments at year 3, we selected parents from one of the sites randomly, and from the other two, all of the parents participated. So we had equal number of participants through the sites. And what we did is, during their home visit, this is a visit for observational purposes. It's important to say, when we do these visits, it has nothing to do with the home visitation. The people who are doing this are independent. We have trained them independently just to come and do the research. The mother and the child participate in these activities, that 2 of them are very well-known tasks. The first one is the puzzle tasks, where the mother and the child play together, and the child has opportunity to do a very easy task, puzzle, and a very hard puzzle. And so the mother is there to help the child and to get involved cognitively, to support and scaffold and do those things in a way that fosters persistence in the child and helps the child with frustration when they have obstacles. The cleanup task, the last one, is also a very used task to do compliance, to elicit compliance in the child. And the child has to clean up a lot of toys that they have been playing with. The middle one is basically what I work in general with children, and it has to do with delaying gratification. Here, the mother is asked to be involved in a particular task. Here, she has to answer a questionnaire, but she's asked to make sure that the child will not be getting the treats that are in front of them. So she has to be answering this questionnaire, but also making sure that the child will not eat or touch the treats because they are for another assessment. Now here, what is interesting is that the task demands are different. If you see, when we are talking about delay of gratification, we are asking the parents to make the child not do something. Don't do this, which is something that we as parents have to say a lot. But then In the cleanup task, we are asking the child, do this. And so we are asking them to elicit behaviors and comply with what we are asking. Those two aspects I consider very important part of self-regulation because one requires inhibition of impulses, and the other one requires the generation of behaviors that promote persistence. In order to do this observational assessment, which you will think I am very, very obsessive in doing, what we did is we basically gathered lots of other types of mother-child interaction measures. We also theoretically found what are the most important constructs, but also we were guided by the program itself. So the most important aspects were cognitive engagement, structuring, role reversal. This is something that this program was interested in, and harsh parenting. So those are the bigger constructs that we had, and then we decided, okay, let's see what behaviors then come under this. And the idea was to have very observable behaviors. So we have, for example, in cognitive involvement, in the last one, it has to do with describing, with elaborating, and with affirming what the child does. Now, here is what I mean by strategies that the parents may be using. So when I'm talking about positive parenting, these are the type of things, these are little things that happen when we are parenting. And if you're busy, for example, these two moms or three moms here are doing something quite different. This mom decided to constrain the child physically and to involve her girl in the task. Now, this is a parent that was part of our group, so it's not part of the population. Now, the second one here had the same idea. She decided to constrain her child so that she kept her close to her. But guess what? She then turned around and looked away, and the child is happily getting the treats and is about to, of course, drink them and eat them. And the third one basically is ignoring what the child is doing, and the child is violating the rules, and she's going with it, not paying any attention to that. So these are the type of things that happen all the time when we are parenting, and we observe this with a lot of detail. Every 10 seconds, we see a videotape. Every 10 seconds, we stop the tape, and we decide which behavior is happening. So here you would say, child violated the rule, mother didn't pay attention in some form that it's coded as behavior. I'm not a coder, so they find the dictionaries very easily. Now, I would like to say that we create then a dictionary of around 100 words. And so you cannot get out of that array of behaviors. And it's finite. It's not anything that they can think of. They are related to these constructs. And when we run confirmatory analysis, we found these two domains very clearly, and actually we found what we put in, which is we had positive parenting and negative parenting. It was around items that had to do with sensitive structuring, such as parent response to bid or praises success, and they had to do with cognitive involvement. The parent used leading questions or elicited knowledge. And the negative parenting involved harsh parenting. Believe it or not, the parents have a camera in front of them, yet they still, you can still see some coercion or slap, hitting, or poking the child. And you see also role reversal, fighting over materials, give me that puzzle, I'll do it, and or teasing the child, mocking the child. Now, this is then how we capture the data. We use an Noldo's Observer software that gets the movies right there. And then the coders then pick, as soon as they watch 10 seconds of tape, the tape stops, and then they decide which of these behaviors they are going to be coding. Now, if you take all the amount of behaviors I calculated so that you have a sense of the amount of data that we get. These are 522 mothers that were interacting for 5 minutes in 3 tasks, and once every 10 seconds we observe. So that gives us 49,980 observations. So whenever we are talking about then, for example, cognitive involvement, it has certain behaviors that we have observed in a very sort of permanent and reliable way, in a very detailed way. I want to do something here that I never do, but I think that it would make it easy to understand what is the data about. And what you have there is the mothers are really here the horizontal one. So we have 1, 2, 3, up to 522 mothers. So the cases are maternal behaviors. And then we have each code and the frequency per code. So you have first mother 1, tease their child twice, praise success once, and never showed irritation during the first task. The second one, praise success 5 times, and the third one never, but then it gave 5 irritation displays. So, results. Very importantly, when we take the overall sample, so regardless of who is in the program, we have that across the 3 tasks, positive parenting, which is cognitive engagement and sensitive structuring. Program effects are found in all of these 3 tasks with using this kind of positive parenting assessment. So the overall sample gets benefits by having this treatment, and those appear when you use this type of observational assessment. What about reduction of harsh parenting, which is the other goal of the program? One is promoting positive parenting, the second one is preventing harsh parenting. Well, this worked only in the sample that we have repeatedly found as a subgroup, which is the young first-time mothers under 19 years of age who this is their first child. These mothers show a reduction, as you see right there, of much less harsh behaviors than the control group. So in the puzzle task, they showed less harsh behaviors. In the delay task, that was the case as well. Now, at year 7, we assessed it in the very same, with the very same tasks, except that in the delay right here, the mother was coloring a book, and the child would color the book when the mom finished. And he shouldn't interrupt the mom and shouldn't play with the crayons while waiting for the mom to color. Mom actually got really engaged in coloring. They loved it. And so the child was like, oh, please, I want to do it, I want to do it. So that's the kind of delay of gratification they are asked to use. Now, here, if you look at permissive types of behaviors and harsh types of behaviors, you will see here as well that you have less of that in the treatment group. So that's as expected. However, when we were talking about cognitive support that we would have expected, again, to see a potential effect of the treatment, it turns out that it reverted. So the control group does a lot more cognitive support than those parents in the treatment group. We were also interested in looking at continuities. So here we took positive parenting and we observed parents that at year 3 had very low positive parenting and at year 7, low positive parenting. So bad parenting practices at both times should show bad outcomes. High positive parenting at both times should show positive outcomes. But the middle here, we don't know, is what happens when you have only high positive parenting when the child grew up or only at the beginning. This, again, is one of the most important results, I would say. You see that it was the high as expected shows a mean standard score of intelligence looking at child outcomes that is higher than those that were low before. But the most important aspect here, oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to go, well, this will show you in a very similar way. Sorry, I have to go back. So when we examine delay of gratification also, you see that parents who were high at the beginning, so parents who were good at parenting at year 3, it was good for the parents to help their child right then. But if they were low later, that worked better even. So those parents who were very good at age 3 ended up being better with regulating their child because the child was better at regulating later. So it looks like intrusivity at age 7 may not be a good idea, but definitely at age 3 is very important to intervene. If we look at the low-high, intervening later doesn't do much good for positive parenting. And when we look at parents who participated in the control or treatment, there is a larger percentage of parents who are in the high-low or high-high positive parenting. So just to summarize very quickly, and this is in response to Deborah and her presentation at the beginning, there are ways in which we can help parents in a universal way. Positive parenting can go up for everyone in some domains. Also, we can think of targeted interventions when we focus on who is served. The young first-time mothers appear to be much more amenable to change, especially in the prevention of child abuse. It's important to see when we intervene, and definitely it looks like we have to intervene early. And how we intervene. This is a strengths-based program, so that's very important. Now, from my point of view, the marriage between science and practice is one of the most important things, and I believe that having this opportunity has offered me the possibility of understanding scientifically how parenting affects child outcomes, and the practice may be served better by knowing this and incorporating that into the practice. So I would say that having the possibility to do that not only helps practitioners, but we are helping science, and that's also very important when we think about our work. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting, particularly from the perspective of study design and thinking about the outcomes at different critical periods and the combination of exposures at early and later exposures and what impact that can have on child development.
Thank you.
So thank you. So the next and last presenter today